Yo, what's up, my fellow Toyota enthusiasts? It's Marcus here again on that Limited Tundra's YouTube channel. So I'm gonna try to do as much of the talking inside the cab of my truck as possible because it's really, really windy outside today, and I'm at the lake. Sorry, I just had a Forsyth County Sheriff driving by, but didn't say nothing. As I'm parked a bit weird. So I got my front suspension refreshed, pretty much redone. And I gave my rear suspension a bit of a refresh and upgrade also. For those that aren't aware, my previous setup was a Toytech Add-A-Leaf in the rear with Bilstien 4600s, which is basically like the TRD off-road shock that would have came with the truck if it was like a TRD off-road package in the rear. But it's meant for a stock height truck. And I still have the Toytech Add-A-Leaf in the rear, but I swapped over to Bilstien 5160s, which is basically, it's kind of like the 5100, but with the reservoir. And it's actually, the one that I'm running is actually not for a first gen Toyota Tundra. So the 5160 that I installed in the rear is actually for a second gen Tacoma, for the 05 to 2015 Toyota Tacoma. It's valved the same, except the differences are, one, which is the actual performance difference, is that it allows for 1 more inch of down travel versus the Tundra Bilstien 5160s. And the other thing, it's not really like, I guess, a pro or a necessity, but it's cool factors, so obviously I was going to do it. The Tundra ones are a piggyback for the reservoir. The reservoir piggybacks onto the main shock body, and these second gen Tacoma ones come with the frame mount that you mount the reservoir onto the side of your frame, so obviously you can see it more. That's kind of one of the things, if you checked like 2 videos ago when I revealed the new wheel and tire setup, that was one of the things that you could probably see in the video. I've had some people ask me about them, and so far I like them a lot. On washboard roads at 15 miles an hour, the rear was solid. I couldn't do any faster than that because at that point I still had my old front suspension set up, and that was screaming for mercy. So I just got the front suspension installed yesterday, and so I haven't gotten a chance to try it off-road, but on-road it's already significantly better. It's not riding like a Cadillac by any means. It's still firm. It's still like a lifted truck, but this suspension like actually soaks up bumps instead of kind of like channeling all of that energy through the cab and into you. That was what I was feeling with the 3-inch strut spacer. So for the front, I still have my SPC upper control arms, but I got those dialed in now to where I had mentioned that with my Toyo MT, my truck was drifting to the right. So I got a large caster brake, and I got more caster up in the front in general, but they added more to my passenger side than to my right side, and now the truck is tracking like pretty damn straight. It's really windy today, so it's still kind of moving around a little bit on the highway, but I'm sure that if it wasn't windy, it'd be tracking perfectly straight. And then for shocks, I did the Bilstien 5100s up front. They are for the first gen Tundras. It's set at the lowest notch, and it's installed a Old Man Emu 2888 spring, the coil, and that was advertised as 2.5 inches of lift with a steel front bumper. Obviously, I have my stock front bumper. So I needed every bit of 3 inches of lift, and what I did was I just stacked a small shim spacer on top of each one. On the driver's side, I did a 3/8 inch spacer, and on the passenger side, I did a 1/4 inch spacer, and that was to try to compensate for some of the Toyota lean, which in my previous numbers, I was sitting almost exactly a 1/4 of an inch lower on the driver's side versus the passenger side. And then with the previous setup, I had driver's side was sitting 3/4 of an inch lower than the rear, and the passenger side was sitting 1/2 inch lower than the rear. Right now it's sitting perfectly level all the way around at 39 inches. Like I said, I just installed these yesterday, so I'm wondering just how much sag I'm going to get up front. I have a larger spacer that I could swap around if I needed to try to keep those 3 inches of lift. And the other thing that I did was I went ahead and replaced my CV axles with remanufactured OEM Toyota ones. And then I redid my lower ball joints with OEM Toyota lower ball joints. It's the only way to go, in my opinion, for lower ball joints. Some people have had luck with Moog. I'm not the kind of person to push my luck with my daily driver in my work truck. And then the other thing that I installed were Suspensionmaxx extended sway bar end links. Those, I kind of feel like they're going to be like snake oil, but, you know, I was kind of like, whatever. Just go ahead and throw some new end links on there just so I don't have to deal with them potentially breaking while off-roading now. And then have to go back under the damn truck again. So we also redid my steering rack. I did that with an OEM Toyota rack, and we did energy suspension polyurethane bushings. And for anybody that's wondering, just in general, the polyurethane bushings really tighten up the steering a lot, with like fresh lower ball joints and, you know, pretty much a whole refresh in front end. The steering on this truck with the 33-inch mud terrain is really, really good. So with that being said, let's hop out of the truck now. I'll kind of give you guys a visual of everything so you guys can see everything. And feel free to drop any comments down below. My Instagram is Marcos_1296. Any of you guys that have any kind of questions or anything like that, or maybe you want to see a more in-depth picture of like CV angles or anything like that, just shoot me a message on Instagram. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. And like I said, with that being said, let's hop out of the truck and show you guys outside. So there you can see the Bilstien 5160. This is like I said, those are 4 second gen Tacomas. Mount right up on the frame. Show you guys passenger side too, I guess, while we're here. Go. Mounts right up. And then for the rears, like I said, new OEM rack, poly bushings. I actually did OEM outer tie rods too. There's a Suspensionmaxx extended sway bar end link, so now my sway bar is actually perfectly straight, unlike it was previously where it was angled down. OEM remanufactured CV axles. And let me jump over to the driver's side. You can kind of see the front shock and coil spring a bit easier over here. So there are Bilstien 5100s, bottom notch, OME 2888 coils with the small shim spacer up there, SPC upper control arms. Trying to show you guys like CV angles. The only thing that I do need to do still is extend, get the extended bump stops. I think Durobump is a company that sells them. And for those wondering, there it is with SES -38, 33, 12.5 R17 Toyota MTs clearance. Clear that no problem back and forth now that the pinch weld is trimmed perfectly flat. You don't get anywhere near the cab mount like you do the second gen Tacomas and stuff like that, the mid-size stuff. But yep, that is the front suspension. I don't know how well, maybe probably passenger side, how well you'll be able to see that the gap in between fender and tire is perfectly even now, front and back. So yeah guys, for anybody wondering, this is obviously like an entry-level suspension package. It's by no means gonna ride like, you know, a King with the reservoirs, a King coilover with reservoirs will off-road, but I'm sure that it's gonna be a million times better than my previous setup was. And for on-road use, as I said previously, it still feels like a lifted truck. It still feels firm up front, but it's nothing that's gonna like rattle your teeth out or practically make you eat dash or steering wheel while you're driving. Hopefully the front doesn't settle too much. If it does, I'll have to throw like a 1/2 inch shim spacer on the driver's side and then 3/8 over to the passenger side. But only time will tell, and I'll keep you guys updated. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and hopefully answer some questions, some doubts, because I swear you can't. I know I'm not the first one to like install this setup. I'll actually give credit to Ty Lou for the rear with the 5160s and doing a whole write-up on the Facebook First Gen Tundra page on there about that. But there's just not a lot of people that like post videos or like really like talk reviews about their setups, and it's just kind of hard to like find that information on these trucks. So that's really primarily just what I'm trying to do, is just get some of this info to you guys so you guys can make up your mind if it's something that you want to do. Perhaps it's not the look that you were going for, etc., you know, all that kind of stuff. That's just the whole point of my videos. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. If I didn't already say it in the beginning, drop a comment down below. How did you find my YouTube channel? And if it is that there's anything that you want to see, let me know. Comment down below. We'll try to get that reviewed, or if there's anything that anything else that you want to see, like a my long-term opinion on, just let me know. Appreciate you guys. Drop a like and subscribe, share with the buddy. All right guys, take it easy.